the Schmitter's 100 Acre Woods. So today we're out here with the Otter and the little tractor. Just doing a little bit of dirt work. It's a little wet, but it's about the right consistency to move some dirt and get it packed in for this new kind of just detour we're doing. So back here around just past the 1000, back around to this corner that then goes along the back part of the property. Here there's a pretty good 90 for that road. So basically we just want to make it a sweeping corner. This will make it a lot easier for like whenever we have that log trailer and we need to get logs from the back part, we'll be able to do this corner, whereas right now you can't get around that 90. Even pulling logs out just on a choker doesn't like that 90 degree corner. So had the 62 out here last time and got a little bit of it started, and now taking and finishing that off. So I'm using the Otter to pile some dirt up here, and then Dad will kind of run it in with the tractor. The 1000 hill that we have kind of keeps slumping in, so so we have it to move that dirt and get it over here, and it's just I don't know, 50 yards away. So that's what we're working on today, and then we may work on getting another trail going, taking the high ground, and I'll show that later. So this is a technique we've done quite a bit in the past videos on the channel, but if you're new, basically the little tractor here has a bucket that's the perfect size for the otter bed. So you're able to put 2 to 3 scoops of dirt in depending on how wet it is. So here this dirt's pretty wet, so we've been doing 2 scoops. And it's nice because I can just drive and dump and kind of get a little pile going, and then you can come over with the tractor and spread that out. So even with this load in there, it has no issues. I put it in low and it has no issues moving it around. And our model of the RTV is the worksite model, so it comes standard with a hydraulic dump bed. So that is one advantage to the RTVs, is because it already has the hydraulics built in. It's actually a hydraulic, so it's not electric to hydraulic. So here I got a pretty good pile going, so just use the tractor to kind of smooth that out. And here's some more time lapse of just dumping that in. Again, I can haul about 2 loads of dirt with it, which is 2 of the buckets on the little tractor, and I'm able to move much quicker than the tractor, so we're able to get a fair amount of dirt moved. And again, it's an area where, like many times when we've done this, that, you know, while we have the dump trailer and could move a lot more dirt, getting the dump trailer all the way back this piece of the property isn't practical, nor getting it turned around in this area is. So it's an opportunity to move dirt from one spot to kind of a smaller, or to another location where, you know, you have confined space. So as you can see, it took quite a bit of dirt to do this. Ended up being a pretty good sized hole, and to really widen it out and everything like we wanted, it did take a fair amount. And that is the nice thing here at the 100 acres, is with all the spoil piles from all the mining that was reclaimed back in the 40s, that there is no lack of dirt that we can steal from different piles and, you know, kind of utilize as we need. Here's another project that we just got done. So the idea here was, we're back here at the 1000, so the 1000's just around the corner there. Back corner of the property is over there. This is the trail that goes back around the back part. So whenever we initially got through, we had this 90 degree corner. So most of the time that's not too bad, but like whenever we start pulling stuff out, whether it be trees or like we're dragging the trailer, the log trailer around, it was going to be tricky to get around that corner. So what we did was, there was kind of a natural spot here where we were able to fill in this hole with some dirt and kind of make this a sweeping corner. So you can see now that you can kind of sweep along and then go back out. So one of those things that the soil conditions are about right. There's a little bit of moisture in the dirt, so it will pack in. So whenever you start putting this many layers of dirt in, it will actually hold. So that's what we worked on initially. I think now I'm gonna work on getting another trail that goes up the high side. So I'll kind of show you what I mean and go over that direction next. We have this trail, our main trail down here. And because it's a bottom, it always holds water. So like you have this spot here, and then you really go down a hill, and then you have a spot over there that holds water, and then around the corner you always have a spot that holds. So it was just the path of least resistance when we were trying to get back here, and it was most in line with our line of sight for our 1,000 target up there. So trying to kind of improve and make a better path, we're going to come up to this hill crest and go through here. So kind of come, we can merge the path there to come here, and then you can see there's not a whole lot we have to do through here. So that's a little cherry tree that's dead, so we'll push it out. This is a goofy little tree that's not going to amount to much. A lot of briars and another dead cherry. So, and then some dead stuff there. So we'll be able to clean up a lot of this just by kind of pushing it out and get a flat top here. Where I just was, so here's what I was talking about. We have a pretty good slope down, so he's building this up so that whenever he drives across to kind of start working this crown that direction, he has something to work against, because otherwise he'll be working off a slope, and your back tires determine your bucket, so you need to get it flat, so whenever you start working you have a flat spot to work. So you already got started, but we joined Dad here on the small tractor getting this top busted out. So basically just kind of going through and taking out the smaller trees where needed and trying to leave as much as possible, just because if we can leave stuff that's better. But have this kind of a little bit of a ridge here and able to take it down. And right now he's just trying to get through, so eventually we'll go back through and widen it all out by going down. But this will get us on the high ground and away from that low ground where there's water. So here he's just trying to get back down, and then we'll come at it from the other direction to do the other path. So he's able to make a road down for himself and then drive out. Of kind of this trail we got opened up. So still need to take it down a little bit to widen it out, but this gets a really good start, just kind of getting it pushed open. Again, we're going through this area to get out of the lowland on the right. Here you can see, just need to kind of go through and grade a lot of this to get rid of some of these ridges. And like here, you just busted through so you could get over there. So need to take all of this down a little bit just to kind of help widen, so you don't just have this top that curves off on each side. Again, with some of these rocks, maybe we'll put the tines down on the grater box and kind of rip some of these stones out, but you'll be able to loosen up that dirt, work it down. Here he's really just kind of getting the top layer off, getting some of the roots and stuff out, and just kind of getting it broken open. So this is the area I showed on the ground earlier where it kind of naturally slopes down. We really want to use that ridge over there as well. So he's actually over there right now trying to get a ramp up, kind of come at it from this side. And again, not a whole lot of trees or anything up there, just kind of the shrubs. So we'll be able to walk that along and then either kind of come down here and connect here, or maybe go on this side and kind of connect and fill that in. There's quite a bit of dirt there, and there's actually quite a bit of dirt here too. He could take and start to slope that down and bring that this way and slope it down, so just kind of have a little bit of a spot. And then as long as we kind of cant it so that any of the water that may collect there can kind of run off that way, it'll stop from having spots like we have down there where water just pools and doesn't really have any place to go because it's already in the bottom. So that's the main thing about building on these tops, is water's always going to fall off of them and shed on the two sides, so you don't have issues with it holding water. So again, just kind of a preliminary. Still have a fair amount of work to do to make it a good quote-unquote road, but the initial challenge is done, and can kind of work on grading and everything as we come over. So he's over there working on getting up over, and he should be able to make pretty quick work of that as well, because there's not too many trees or anything. There may be some dead stuff down that he'll need the saw for, but as far as like having to actually cut down trees, there's not too much of that has to happen. So this is down on our original pass. So this kind of gives you a little bit of perspective of how high up it is and the elevation difference. So the camera is actually sitting on top of the outer roof, so it kind of gives you a little bit of perspective of kind of what that is and how high up it is. And he already has taken some dirt there. That tree's kind of in the way, but he's taking dirt from the hillside kind of behind him. You can just see the bucket there, and then moving it forward to kind of fill in. So partly filling and partly kind of using the existing solid dirt that's there. Once he has enough dirt to kind of push forward, he can kind of push that forward and then also eat into the hill. So again, you have about 3/4 to 1/4 to half and half of on the solid dirt, plus kind of some of the fill. And then as he's getting closer, have that dead tree that's hanging there, so I get it cut out of the way so that he's not getting hung up on that or trying to deal with it whenever he's got all that dirt to move. So this is a nice example of where the electric saw is nice. I have just a couple cuts that need to happen, and kind of cutting some of the briars as I walk up. So the electric saw is much lighter, so it's much easier to carry up that hill, and it cuts through that dead tree just fine. So then I make one more cut a little bit further back on the backside of where it starts to go back over the hill, and get that rolled out of the way so that he's not getting caught on it if he needs some of the dirt over there. And while it does take a while, as you watch him work back and forth, moving that dirt, driving on it multiple times like that actually does create a better road, because you're constantly packing it in as you go to put more dirt up front. So with that bucket full of dirt plus driving on it, it does make for a better road that he can then push out. So instead of just driving on it and doing like a big scoop at a time, you can kind of get more compaction this way by having the tires run over it more, get a little bit more compaction. So I'm going to go ahead and use the auger to pull out what I just cut down. just so that you don't have that void under there from that tree that may cause issues as he fills over. So go ahead and just put the choker on that, hook it up to the spot on the back of the otter, and get it drug out. And for now, I just leave it down here at the bottom. It'll probably be part of the abandoned path, but if I want to get it out of there more, I can move it on to the green hole at a later date. You can see just behind me there the path that he worked on earlier. Under the pole on kind of the power crew work. So they have taken all the equipment away, so they've gotten all the stone spread. You can see going up that hill that I showed in the previous video. And here they have all of the panels down so that whenever they bring their trucks and stuff in to take these poles down and put the metal up that's currently up at the entrance of the property, they won't sink in. So because they've covered all this, they'll eventually have to go back through and clean this up and reseed it, because having this down is going to kill all the grass. But it's nice that they did this so you don't have to worry about stuff, leaving ruts. And then, they do have the thing, the not disturb, for the pond there, so they don't get into that at all. So again, this is one of the poles they're going to be taking, and the one up the hill there is actually the main one that is an issue. But while they had to do the event to get back here, they wanted to go ahead and do these two poles as well. And they will be metal poles that will essentially go in the same spot. I don't know the exact plans, but they'll be the same basic height and the same general area. And I believe if all goes kind of according to what they're saying, we should end up with all of the wood from the poles. So we'll have some pretty big poles sections that we'll be able to utilize. Kind of one of the things we talked about doing is maybe utilizing them as a entrance to the 100 acres here. So it's a big thing in Texas where you see like gates and grand entrances was one thing we really noticed in that area. And we'd be able to use pretty tall uprights, and we'd want basically a semi to be able to get in, which is like just over 13 feet, so we'd want to do that, which all of our stuff, like when the trailer is not going to be greater than that, so we'd probably go 14 feet to be safe, and then put a cross piece across. So with some of these, we'll have some fair size pieces to work with if that ends up working out that we get to keep that. So it's kind of what they're talking about right now. They asked if we wanted to keep it, and we always have projects we can utilize it for. That's one thing, like even being able to have the sawmill going now. You can take a fair sized tree to cut a 6x6 or a 4x4 out of it. Whereas if you can utilize that for 2x4s or 2x6s, you can get a lot more of those out of it than having to mill a 4x4 or 6x6. And those are much more difficult to have straight and not have any twisting or cracking, whereas these are already essentially good to go. So anyway, just want to give a quick update on this and what we got going here. As far as the power stuff goes. So I didn't really get any footage of them working, just because they were actually here on days where it was pretty overcast or raining out. So a lot of the work they did then, and their schedule is basically like 8 to 3, just because they had a long commute back to wherever they're staying. So just didn't get a good opportunity to really get over here while they were working. So unfortunately, I don't have any footage of that. I have lots of pictures from the game camera, so I did have one of those set up in an area where they were working. So I may throw some of those images in over this part of the video here. Essentially, it's a lot of the dump truck they had, or the I don't know exactly, it's a pin-off, but basically a vehicle with that was tracked that had a dump bed on it. So that's how a lot of the stone got back here. And obviously a skid steer quite a bit, and then they had a fair-sized excavator come over for getting the stump out, and then they placed riprap in a few areas, and they had a mini over for that. So I'll throw those images in just so you can kind of see. But that's obviously very localized and everything, but just with the schedule and my work and everything, it didn't work to get over here. So that is what it is. Would have liked to have gotten some stuff, but um, anyway, we have the final result, and so far it's pretty nice. Continuing the work on the getting that new trail done. So Dad's working on that right now. He's got a camera going to kind of show progress on that. He's working on getting up the hill right now, which kind of that initial bit is the most challenging just because you're working against gravity. Once he can get up on top of that and have a big enough spot cleared out, it'll start going a lot faster just because he's not fighting trying to get the machine up that hill. So anyway, have some other little projects to do, have some posted signs like on this pole here, just because I did have some issues with people coming around from that property over. So I put a posted sign here. Since they're going to be taking those poles out, I'm going to take that out, and I'll probably move it up front. The ones we have at the entrance to the 100 acres here are pretty faded just from being in the sun all day. So going to replace those out and see what other trouble I can get into. Here's some of that footage I was just talking about. So this is kind of just before what we saw previously where I cut that tree down. So here's just working on getting kind of up that hill and just getting it started. There's a little tree there that's kind of have to get out, and then as you can see, even though we've just started the spring, everything has started to grow out quite a bit, so lots of greenery already. And a lot of that he can just kind of roll out of the way. And now he carries the little hatchet, M12 hatchet with him, so that if he needs to cut vines or something, he has that with him, and just have a little spot on the back of the tractor that he can store that. It's one thing that as we've done more of these paths, kind of gotten a little bit better at how to create them, and kind of making them a little bit bigger from the get-go. So a lot of times originally it was just kind of getting through. Now we try to start to make them a little bit bigger from the initial start, just so that the otter will definitely get through. So there he had a little tree that he just cut in half so he could get it kind of folded down into that hole. And here you can see it's where he's taking dirt from the side, putting it forward, and then utilizing a little bit of the dirt that's existing, that's solid, and then adding to it. Here you can really get a sense of how much he's having to drive over it. And we've just about caught up to when I climb up to cut that tree. I'm just going to give you a little bit better idea what he's doing here and the amount of dirt that needs to be moved. And you can see he's trying to already start to head down a little bit so we can meet up with that other path. And the one thing that I think the camera cuts off before we quite get to it, but got into a little bit of a spot here where the dirt started to fall away on the right hand side and didn't get packed in, or the left hand side and didn't get packed in enough. So just have to be mindful when doing this that, you know, the dirt can still be loose and need to make sure it's packed in well enough before driving over it so you don't have anything give away. Is new to the channel. Today we're kind of looking at moving some dirt with the B2150. So it's the smaller of the two tractors we have. You can get it in a lot more spots, and I wouldn't say you can necessarily get more done with it. We just are much more familiar with it. The tractor's got over 2,000 hours on it, so have lots of seat time, and you can just get it in a lot more positions that the M62 just kind of feels more precarious in. So working on getting some dirt moved with that. Utilized the auto today to move dirt. So if you've been with the channel for a while, then you know that's something we've done in the past quite a bit. But if you're new, you can kind of check that out, see what how we utilize the auto to do that and how it does moving dirt and dumping it, and yeah, and then using the little tractor there to get some paths opened up. Again, we already have existing paths to get to all these places, but making these paths that are up on high ground so you don't have to worry about any water that's constantly there where you're always driving through mud, and just make for a better path long term. This ridge, so haven't quite seen this one yet, seen us working on it some. So kind of similar to the other side over there, just kind of gotten it knocked off. You can see it had to eat more of that hill out, and he's working on sloping it down to meet that other one. Today we're just going to get it roughed in, just kind of the path here. And then next time over, or sometime when we have the little tractor with the grader box, start working this down, flip those tines over, get all these humps out. So I think we're going to work for just a little bit longer. It's about 8 o'clock. So one of those nice things about in the summer is, you know, you can work till dark, which is, you know, 8 or 9 o'clock, which good, bad thing, get more done, but it makes for longer days. So I'm gonna go ahead and sign this off here, and hit that thumbs up button, subscribe. We'll catch you next time. Got these earlier, so here's the metal up front. And the other part of it over here. So these will be what's going up. So not this one right here, but the next two back. I'll be putting these up.